There are 1.7 million people living in Phoenix, and they keep growing in one of America's most water-stressed cities. The metro area added nearly 17,000 new residents just between July 2023 and July 2024, while Arizona faces cuts to 30% of its normal Colorado River supply. This is the story of how a desert city built an empire on borrowed water, and why that empire could collapse. Phoenix sits in the Sonoran Desert, where annual rainfall barely reaches 8 inches. Yet this impossible city has exploded from 1.5 million people decades ago to 4.8 million in the metro area today, with projections reaching nearly 3/4 of Arizona's entire population by 2060. The math simply does not add up. How do you sustain explosive growth in a place where water has to be trucked in from hundreds of miles away? The answer lies in one of the most audacious engineering projects in American history. Phoenix does not rely on rain. It relies on snow. 60% of the city's water flows from the Salt and Verde Rivers, managed through the Salt River Project, fed by snowmelt from mountains north and east of the valley. The other 40% arrives through the Central Arizona Project, a 336-mile concrete lifeline that begins at Lake Havasu on the California border and delivers Colorado River water to 6 million Arizonans. This aqueduct system represents something profound about American ambition. We looked at one of the harshest deserts on the continent and decided to build a metropolis anyway. The Hohokam people tried something similar 2,000 years ago, creating 135 miles of irrigation canals that made this desert bloom. Then, in 1276, tree ring data from dendrochronology studies show that a withering drought descended on the southwest, lasting more than 2 decades. The Hohokam civilization collapsed, and the desert reclaimed what they had built. Today's Phoenix believes it has solved the puzzle they could not. The city has achieved what water officials call decoupling growth from water consumption, thanks largely to the Arizona Groundwater Management Act of 1980, which established the state's 100-year assured water supply standard. Phoenix uses roughly the same amount of water today that it did 20 years ago, despite serving 400,000 more people. Per capita water use has dropped 30% over 2 decades. In 2000, 80% of Phoenix residents maintained lush green lawns. Today, only 14% do. The city recycles nearly 100% of its wastewater, sending more than 20 billion gallons annually to cool the Palo Verde nuclear power plant. But here's where the story gets complicated. While Phoenix has mastered conservation, the water sources it depends on are vanishing. The Colorado River Basin has lost 27.8 million acre-feet of groundwater between 2002 and 2024, roughly equal to the entire storage capacity of Lake Mead. Lake Powell, the upper basin's largest reservoir, has also dropped to historically low levels. Arizona alone accounts for 74% of that groundwater decline. The Southwest megadrought, now in its 25th year, has pushed the Colorado River into what experts call an unprecedented crisis. This crisis hit Phoenix directly in June 2022, when the city activated its first ever Stage 1 water alert. By 2023, Governor Katie Hobbs announced something that would have been unthinkable just years earlier. Arizona was pausing new construction in the Phoenix area that relies on groundwater. The housing moratorium sent shockwaves through a city built on the promise of endless expansion. Yet even as Hobbs announced restrictions, she insisted, "We are not out of water, and we will not be running out of water." This contradiction captures the essential paradox of Phoenix. The city maintains an official designation of having a 100-year assured water supply under the Arizona Groundwater Management Act, while simultaneously implementing emergency measures because water is running out. The reality is that Phoenix exists in a carefully constructed bubble of water security that could burst at any moment. The city uses only about half of its Salt and Verde River allocation and 2/3 of its Colorado River entitlement. The Arizona Water Banking Authority has stored more than 2 million acre-feet of water underground as insurance. These facts allow officials to project confidence even as the underlying system shows stress fractures. Consider what happened between 2015 and 2024. The rate of groundwater loss in the Colorado River Basin more than doubled from 5 millimeters per year to 12 millimeters per year. Sarah Porter, director of the Kyle Center for Water Policy at Arizona State University, warns we cannot conserve enough water to make up for potential cuts in Colorado River water, so we need to find other strategies. Those strategies are arriving in the form of some of the most expensive water projects in American history. In November 2025, the Arizona Water Infrastructure Finance Authority advanced 4 massive water augmentation proposals, including a $5.5 billion seawater desalination plant in Mexico's Baja California. The plan would pipe desalinated seawater to Mexico in exchange for Mexico's Colorado River allocation, water that would then flow to Arizona. This is not just about municipal water supply. Phoenix has bet its future on becoming a global technology hub. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company is building a $165 billion complex in Phoenix, enabled by the CHIPS Act, the largest foreign direct investment in American history. The facility currently consumes 4.75 million gallons a day, though TSMC plans to reduce that to 1.2 million gallons through aggressive recycling. Still, the symbolism is stark. The world's most advanced chip manufacturer has chosen to locate in a desert city facing water restrictions. The agricultural sector complicates everything. While Phoenix residents have embraced conservation, agriculture still consumes roughly 70% of Arizona's water. This led to the passage of agriculture to urban legislation in 2025, removing barriers that prevented farmers from selling their water rights to developers. Senator T.J. Shope claims this could enable construction of up to 1 million new homes while actually saving water. But critics see this as shuffling deck chairs on a sinking ship. Environmental groups argue that desalination plants require massive energy inputs and produce toxic brine waste. The proposed Mexico plant would require a pipeline crossing protected wilderness areas. Even if these projects succeed, they represent a fundamental admission that Phoenix has outgrown its natural water supply. Rural Arizona offers a glimpse of what happens when the water runs out. More than 100 residents of Wilcox sent a desperate letter to Governor Hobbs describing wells running dry and families unable to afford drilling deeper. Some of us have been unable to afford to drill a new, deeper well and are now having water hauled to our homes, they wrote. If the Wilcox Basin aquifer stopped being pumped today, it would take 280 years to recover. The legal structure makes Phoenix's situation even more precarious. Under the prior appropriation system that governs Western water rights, the first users get the last water during shortages. Arizona's rights to Colorado River water are among the newest and therefore most vulnerable. Every proposed cutback plan puts more of Arizona's water allocation on the chopping block than any other state. This vulnerability will be tested starting in 2027, when the current Colorado River operating guidelines expire. The Bureau of Reclamation, which manages the Colorado River system, faces impossible choices about Tier 1 and Tier 2 shortage declarations that would trigger deeper cuts. The 7 basin states remain deadlocked on how to share a shrinking river. Climate scientists predict the mega drought could persist for decades more. Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the United States, continues hovering near historically low levels. Phoenix water officials insist they are prepared for whatever comes. The city's drought management plan includes escalating restrictions that could eventually limit outdoor watering to just 2 days per week. Cynthia Campbell, Phoenix's water resources management advisor, maintains the long view. Around here, water usage is planned in terms of centuries. We know we live in a desert, yet planning in terms of centuries means acknowledging uncomfortable truths about the present. Phoenix has achieved something remarkable, a thriving desert metropolis that uses water more efficiently than almost any major American city. But efficiency alone cannot overcome the mathematics of a finite resource supporting infinite growth. The story of Phoenix is ultimately the story of American optimism confronting natural limits. We have built a city of nearly 5 million people in a place that might naturally support a few thousand. We have done it through engineering brilliance, legal maneuvering, and sheer determination to make the impossible possible. Whether that determination will be enough remains the defining question of Phoenix's future. The city continues growing because its leaders believe they can engineer their way out of any crisis. They may be right, or they may be repeating the mistake of the Hohokam, who also believed they had conquered the desert, until the desert conquered them.